At the StableView Tech Conference 17, we're here with Ethan Buchman, the CTO of Tendermint, which is building the Cosmos network. Ethan, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Give our viewers a background into the Cosmos network. What is it, and what are you working on?
So there's a lot of blockchains and cryptocurrency networks out in the world now. We've been in the space for a while and kind of watching the evolution, and there are some serious drawbacks to some of the existing networks and a number of problems. Problems around scalability, around interoperability, so the ability of different cryptocurrencies to work with each other, problems around security, and especially around speed and flexibility as well. These platforms are very difficult and cumbersome to build applications on top of, and so a lot of people with backgrounds in computer science or programming are coming to this world and saying, oh, here's an opportunity to build programmable money or distributed applications, and it's really clunky and difficult. And so we kind of made it our mission to try to solve all of these problems at once. We're very ambitious. And so one of the things we do is we have Tendermint, which is an open source protocol and software for building blockchains in any programming language you want. So Tendermint takes care of all the underlying peer-to-peer networking, the actual consensus layer, all this stuff so that a developer can focus on just building an application that suits their particular business needs, their customers' needs, what have you, whatever language development environment they like. Tendermint takes care of the rest. Now that we have this open source building block and a few others, we're now using those to build a larger public cryptocurrency network that we call the Cosmos network. And the idea behind the Cosmos network is it's an internet of blockchains. So it allows many different blockchains to interoperate with one another using a suite of protocols we've defined that makes that easy to be done in a secure fashion. And so that way you can have many different kinds of blockchains, whether it's a Bitcoin style or an Ethereum style or some other style, maybe some custom style that some enterprise comes up with, that are able to work together and to scale out. So you can have many instances of them without being bogged down by the traditional issues with speed and scalability.
So Ethan, can you talk to us about some market potential and what type of opportunity that or applications that you might have with this network?
Sure. So ultimately what's happening here is we're rebuilding global financial infrastructure in a sense from scratch. So as many people are aware, modern finance is suffering under the tremendous weight of let's call it incentive incompatibility, which is to say that when the financial system was thrown together, it wasn't done in a way that aligned the incentives of all the world's stakeholders, right? It works for people who are on Wall Street or people who are on Bay Street. Sometimes it doesn't, but it doesn't really work for the rest of us. And what's happening in the blockchain space is now the idea has emerged and it has become actually practical to build financial infrastructure that is incentive compatible, which means that the most profitable thing to do within such a system is to actually cooperate, which is kind of revolutionary to think that that could actually be done, given how people tend to view the financial system and capitalism as this boogeyman. And so what we're really trying to do with the Cosmos network and other people in the space is step back and look at the incentives and try to structure this thing in a way that brings people together productively and cooperatively to kind of provide a new version of the financial system that actually works for people on a local level, for individuals and so on, not just for large firms and people with access to doors on Wall Street.
So is it a consumer application or more of a business type application?
It's an infrastructure level play. Mm-hmm. So it's not something that my mother or the average consumer is ever really going to have to interface with at any time in the short term. We're hoping that businesses, that governments, that organizations will be able to use the technology to build on top of, and that ultimately the purpose of this technology is to lower transaction costs and lower barriers to entry for people to self-organize. That's really the ultimate goal, is to enable people to be productive in groups themselves without facing the traditional barriers to whether it's raising capital or complying with certain regulations and so on. A lot of that stuff is really getting in the way of humans cooperating to be productive for themselves and their community.
Mm-hmm. So what's on the agenda for the company over the next 6 months or so?
So we raised money in April. And now we are building out, we're trying to pull together all the pieces that we've been building over the last couple of years to actually launch the Cosmos network. So we're hoping that'll go up in early 2018. That it will launch with just a single blockchain, and then rapidly coming after, we will be adding additional blockchains. The initial kind of focus is on the cryptocurrency community. So if you're outside the cryptocurrency community, none of this, it's possible, none of this makes any sense to you, and that's okay. But in the short term, we're focusing on solving infrastructural issues within that community, and then as we grow and as the technology stabilizes and matures, we'll start going after other verticals and working with other partners to build on top, in whether it's in healthcare, in logistics, in government, in capital markets, you name it.
Well, Ethan, where can our viewers go to learn more about the company?
Tendermint.com and cosmos.network.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you.
For SmallCapPower, I'm Angela Harmantis.